I went to New Orleans on emergency leave, and my brothers, their wives, my sister, my girlfriend, and I drove to Grand Isle, Louisiana, to scatter his ashes in the Gulf. Tom wore his full dress uniform. After the ashes were in the water, Tom removed his white gloves and threw them in as well. I'd not known this tradition before, but I was touched by it. He choked back tears and had a lump in his voice. Later, he took my sister and me to an expensive dinner at one of the finest restaurants in New Orleans and told us he was always there for us, anything we needed, anytime. I fell out of touch with Tom after deploying and coming home. When Katrina hit, I called my sister-in-law Maggie to see if everyone was okay. I asked about Tom and she said, "Oh my God, you didn't hear about my Tom." I tensed up and said, "No, what happened?" What she said settled over me slowly like slime. Maggie's neighborhood was underwater and she, my brother, and her kids went to a friend's house on high ground. There were a dozen others there in the same situation. One of them was Tom's older sister who would have been in her 80s. She and Maggie knew each other by name and reputation, but had not met until then. Maggie introduced herself and asked after Tom. His sister was worried, as she'd not heard from him since the storm. Maggie said, "Well, I wouldn't worry. I bet the government has a list of VIPs to check on, and Mr. Tom is surely on it." Tom's sister said, "Maggie, I don't know what Tom has told you, but not a general, not a ranger, no air marshal program, no Condoleezza Rice, no Colin Powell, no bleeding out through the groin problem for my dad to waste his time solving, no nothing. Tom was in fact a penny ante lawyer. What was true was that Tom's sister's deceased husband was a Korea vet, a ranger, a high ranker, and a spook. Tom grew up admiring everything about his brother-in-law. At some point, Tom's dreary, real-life lawyer job faded from his reality, and his fantasies replaced them. The truly sick and disturbing thing was that his daughter and ex-wife were very much alive. They'd just written him off when his detachment became too much. So he killed them off in his narrative. Still, his daughter had the heart to take him in after Katrina destroyed the apartment building. We found out later. My girlfriend watched my face collapse as I talked to Maggie, and she was equally devastated when I told her after I got off the phone. I had so many questions. What if I had followed up on the air marshal thing and said, "Hey, Mr. Tom sent me"? Then some of the particulars hit me. He said he was only promoted to the general ranks after retirement, so he would have had an answer as to why he wasn't listed in the Army website's general officer biographies. He probably had an answer to the air marshal thing too. It's like writing a screenplay, coming up with plausible explanations for kinks in the story or character development. Maggie ran into him a couple months after Katrina. He was all smiles, and Maggie said, "Stop. Your sister told me everything." He just laughed and said, "Oh, that old bat's crazy." That was the last any of us ever heard of him. I've Googled him but not found anything. I'm just glad my father passed away not knowing the truth. He would have been bereft and possibly would have beat the shit out of him. I'm saddened by my dead father having been played like a fool in his last years, but I'm also sad for Tom. The gloves in the water and all that were bullshit, but his tears weren't, nor his graciousness at dinner with my sister and me. With the life in Washington, D.C. being phony and his relatives having written him off, my dad and our family were really the closest people he had in his life.